I'm Jasper Smooth Jazz McCargo, and I'm your community champion.
This documentary takes a look into the lives of many men and women who choose to fight in the ring and not on the streets. This episode's community champion, at a very young age, knew he was meant to be a fighter. From deep dedication to rigorous perspiration, the Blackout Network is proud to present you, Mr. Jasper Smooth Jazz McCargo. In 2016, his pro debut was an eye-opening knockout, leaving many curious. Where did this kid come from?
It's kind of hard to say where I'm from. Sometimes when people ask me where I'm from, I just say I'm from California, because I grew up all over California. So I was born in Monterey. I grew up in San Francisco for a while. I grew up in Richmond. I grew up in the Los Angeles area, the Inland Empire, Riverside. Spent most of my adult life in Oakland. So I've been around. Well, everyone always just called me Jazz, short for Jasper, growing up. And I would be in the gym, and, not necessarily just for my fighting style, but people were like, man, you're pretty smooth. And so it just kind of happened on its own.
A strong family foundation contributes to Smooth Jazz's success both inside and outside of the ring.
I have a younger sister and an older brother. My younger sister, she stays in Los Angeles, and I have an older brother. He grew up down south in Alabama. We have different mothers, and that's my immediate family. I was my first 2 years of high school, I was in Riverside, and Riverside was pretty rough as far as like the gang activity. So when I moved to Richmond, I heard the reputation of Richmond, and I was pretty nervous because I was like, wow, if it's any worse than Riverside. But when I moved to Richmond, it didn't really have that, the reputation that I expected. I was always the kind of person I mind my own business. And around here, if you're the type of person that mind your own business, everything stays pretty chill.
With unconscious community conflicts exploding, the introduction to boxing takes place.
To be honest, I don't even remember when I was introduced to the sport. I've been, I don't remember not even wanting to box. Like I wanted to box since I was a baby. I don't know the exact age I was introduced to the sport. All my life I remember loving boxing. I got a late start at 18 years old, because my family, they didn't really want me to box. And when I was real young, I guess they was hoping I would grow out of it. So I joined the boxing gym the Monday after I graduated high school. And I've been at it ever since. But I wanted to box since I was a baby. I remember begging my parents to let me box when I was a little kid. And because they're all boxing fans. So that's how I was introduced to it. They was always excited about the fights. My uncle, I stayed in the room with him when I was a little kid, and he had boxing posters all over his room. And he was very into boxing, so I was born into boxing.
Fond memories of early family embrace of career rhythm and blues.
My father, he always, came to my fights whenever I fought locally. And my mother, she came to one particular fight when I first started, and I didn't do too well. I fought in the Golden Gloves, and I made it to the state championship. But I had very few fights. I only had about 7 fights, and I ended up fighting someone in the state championship that was very experienced. I had about 70 fights. He was a 2-time national champion, and he beat me pretty bad back then. So my mom saw that. She didn't. I think that scared her from wanting to see me fight again. But I kept fighting, and then later on, I started winning tournaments, and then I medaled in the USA Nationals, and I started traveling with the USA team. And once my family saw me stick with my dreams and persevere, pretty much on my own, I think that inspired them to get behind me, and now I have a lot of family support. For me, boxing is a lifestyle, so it's not hard to balance it. Right now, this is my life. As soon as I wake up, it's the first thing I'm thinking about. When I go to bed, it's the last thing I'm thinking about. I made it my life because it's the only chance in life I'm going to be able to do this. I realize that now that I'm getting a little older, and I look back at my life and I'm like, okay, this is your chance, this is your opportunity. Go for it with everything you got. If you really want to do it, this is the only chance you're going to get.
Nope. In the words of E40, everybody has choices. Nope. And this community champion has chosen to sacrifice. Nope.
Yep. It takes a lot of sacrifice and dedication. That's the first thing it takes. First you just got to really want to do it. If you don't really want to box, I don't recommend boxing. It's something that you have to really love and really want to do because it takes a lot out of you. And if you don't really love it, and if it's not easy for you, to sacrifice, then you shouldn't do it because it hurt. It's not like other sports. Boxing, it's a totally different. It's a totally different beast. Right now, some of the challenges I face. I think the biggest challenge is right now. I'm pretty much a free agent. I don't have a big promoter. I'm pretty sure, with my amateur background, and I'm have to have a few fights under my belt, it'll be easy, for me to sign on to a big promoter that can help me with the beginning part of my career, because it's a little difficult, working and taking care of myself and, still focusing, on training full time. Most, great boxers, they don't have to work. They focus, purely on training. So I'm doing that the best I can. As far as right now, I feel like that's the biggest challenge. But I'm overcoming that challenge by sacrifice.
From amateur beginnings to professional achievements, Smooth Jazz recalls the biggest achievement of his career.
The biggest accomplishment in my career, I traveled with the USA team as an amateur. So, I would say that's the biggest accomplishment on paper, because not many people get that opportunity, to represent their country overseas, and be recognized as the best, in their country. So I would say that's the greatest accomplishment. But as far as myself, to this day is when I made my professional debut. I say it was an accomplishment. It's not a hard accomplishment to make. But I accomplished something within myself mentally. After that fight, I became, a totally different person mentally. I approached training a totally different way. It was like the light switch switched on within myself, and so for myself, that's my biggest accomplishment. Not so much that fight, but what it did for me as a person.
Meditation and preparation is what guides this community champion's concentration.
To mentally prepare myself, when it gets close to fights, I already think about boxing, all day, pretty much every day. So when it gets closer to the fight, I think, I meditate, I think about, everything that I imagined, since I was a kid. And I told myself I'm never going to get this moment again. And I take advantage of that moment. I zone out. And, like when I walked to the ring, when I made my pro debut, to me, I was in my living room as a kid, again, just imagining, what's happening. I'm living in that moment. I don't even see anybody else. I'm pretending I'm by myself, being what I imagine, and I become that person. And a lot of people recognize it. After the fight, everyone told me, man, it was like you was a different person. It was like I didn't even recognize you. You looked like a machine. It was crazy. I didn't know that was you. It's because, I transformed to that person that I always imagined. being a fighter means to overcome, and not just not necessarily overcoming your opponent, but overcoming yourself. For me personally, when I enter the ring, I'm not fighting against my opponent. A lot of people ask me, "Are you mad at your opponent? What are you thinking?" But really, I'm not even thinking about my opponent. I'm thinking about myself. And being a fighter, you overcome, yourself, the urge, to quit, or the urge, to give in to fatigue. You're fighting against that. You're fighting yourself, and you have to overcome yourself. For me, that's being a fighter. Once you can overcome yourself, who can stop you? That's my opinion. If you master yourself, you can master anybody. And, so that's what a real fighter is, in my opinion.
Influence, motivation, or adversary makes you curious to what inspires smooth jazz.
I feel like I inspire myself. I'm not, no one else inspired my career. I'm inspired by other people's career. I aspire to do some of the things that they did, or to say like, wow, that was so great. As far as someone inspiring my career, I inspired myself. No one else inspired me. No one else even wanted me to box. I did this on my own. And most of my career, I trained myself. Because the people I trained with, wasn't able to be there. So I took it on my own. I would show up to tournaments alone, no coach. I would get on a plane, buy my ticket, get my hotel, find someone to work my corner, and I fought. And so I inspired myself. I'm self-motivated, very self-motivated. And God allowed me to run into Chris Lopez, the owner of this gym, and that's been a big blessing in my life, because he loves boxing just as much as I do. And so now we're like vibing off each other's energy, and it's making me a much better fighter. But I'm self-motivated and self-inspired. What separates me, one is my stature, for one. I'm fighting in the super middleweight division, and I got the same reach as Deontay Wilder, the heavyweight champion of the world, and he's 6'7". So my stature alone, separates me from any person on this earth in my division, and I feel like just that alone, perfecting my own self with that type of stature, if I enter the ring at my 100% best, who can beat me? That's my mindset, because of the stature that God blessed me with. That's the first thing that sets me apart. And what sets me apart, also is confidence. I feel like as an amateur, that was something I lacked, was confidence. And now as a pro, now I'm very confident in myself, and that's what's gonna set me apart. My confidence, my stature, and my belief in myself.
Every fighter in history dreams of that ultimate fight, that big thrill, and ultimate challenge.
Dream fight? Mike Tyson. Because Mike Tyson, he was, fearsome, and everyone looked at him like, and, including myself, like he was just impossible to beat. So if someone was able to beat him in his prime, how would people look at that person? So I would want to try to do that, and I would try to be that person, because I want to be great. I don't want people to say, wow, he was the greatest. If you beat someone like that, people would say you're the greatest. At the end of my career, I want to be remembered that, that I was one of the greatest that ever did it. That I pushed myself, from a lot of different challenges, and I want people to be inspired by that and motivated by that. I want people to, say like, he was a good guy. That's pretty much it. And inspire other people, the same way I was able to inspire myself.
Outside of being a professional boxer, his role within the community is to give back to his fans.
Whenever I'm around, people a lot younger than me, I feel like they're inspired by me, and I really didn't even know that at all until I went to a fight, after I made my debut, and like a few random people came and was like, "Hey, are you Smooth Jazz?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh man, we saw your debut. Oh, this is my son." And they kind of looked like they looked up to me. So that also made me want to like train harder. So it's like, wow, people are looking. People recognize me. I can really do something. I'm also a personal trainer. And I feel like I really inspire my clients. And every day I send them texts, I send them quotes. To try to inspire them. And I hope one day, people say like, wow, he really inspired me and he helped me to become a better person. Physically and mentally, and so that's the role I play in the community by being a personal trainer and also, being around younger people. I feel like I promote community support right here at the boxing gym. For example, some people can't make it to my fight, and but I still ask them, purchase a ticket, so I can give it to the kids in the gym, so I can inspire them, they can be there live, whereas most fighters, they wouldn't do that. They would just take the little extra money, put it in their pocket, but I don't mind, taking money out of my own pocket, to motivate, the youth. I trained with Chris Lightning Lopez. He boxed as an amateur here in Oakland at the King's Gym. He had one professional fight, and I guess his gift in life was to be a trainer. And I see that gift, over him, as when he's here, and he's really into boxing. Like his whole day is, surrounded, evolves around the gym and boxing. So. My day is the same way. Like all I think about is boxing. So we've been like feeding off of each other, and that energy, has been helping me become a better fighter. Run, shadow box, call up. I had a particular friend named Paul Vasquez. I would call him up, and be like, "Hey man, give me some sparring." And then we would meet at one of the boxing clubs and spar, and then and I'll fly out and fight. So. Because of that, I think I lacked a lot, in skill, just because I didn't, see some of the things that I was doing because I was doing it, so when I fought against the other, champions, I felt like they kind of put me at a disadvantage, and I went to France and I fought against the French champion, and he defeated me. And I remember after the fight, I felt very, very discouraged, and I was thinking to myself, like maybe this is just not for me. Maybe it's just not meant to be. I don't even have a coach. I don't even have a trainer. And I'm here to beat. My face was hurting, and I was like, when I get back home, I'm done with boxing. I felt like that for a couple days, and then next thing you know, the USA team, contacted me about fighting in another tournament overseas in Poland. And I was like, well, I guess I'll go and see Poland. And then when I went there, I was trained hard, again, training on my own. And when I got out there in the first round, I was exchanging punches. And then, I went in between rounds, I went back to the corner, and something like a light switch just turned on. And I was like, wow, you're falling into the same thing. You're doing the same thing again. You got to go out there. You got to be confident. And I was just talking to myself in between rounds. And I went out there and I put some stuff on him. And after the fight, I was thinking like, wow, you can do this. All you got to do is believe in yourself. All you got to do is believe in your punches. All you got to do, you can do this. You don't have to, you don't have to fall into this, to the zone when you're not confident in yourself. That's what I was doing. And then ever since that day, I've been walking with confidence anytime I entered the gym, anytime I entered the ring, and it made me a different person. And that's when I really became, inspired to, to try to go all the way, to become the world champion as a professional. McCargo is a fighter. Jasper McCargo is an overcomer. And, those two words I think that describes me best. The fighter and the overcomer. I overcame. This wasn't, becoming a professional fighter. It wasn't easy. I persevered to become a professional fighter. So I fought to become a professional fighter. So now, the fight is going to be easy. Now that I, got to this level, everything that I've been through, prepared me to become a fighter that I'm destined to be. God is, I have a strong relationship with God in my heart. I grew up in the church. My father's a pastor, so he always, he had me in the Word of God, and that's definitely, in my heart. Before every fight, I pray, and for God to be with me in my heart.
Some say the struggle is real, but there's nothing that Jasper, Smooth Jazz McCargo, has not overcome, as he leaves you with words of wisdom.
To do all things through Christ that strengthens me.